Hi, my name is Melvin Joyce, and my project is Bhopal Gas Tragedy Memorial, a walk to remember. People of Bhopal, capital town of the Indian state Madhya Pradesh, were sleeping through a cold intervening night on 2nd and 3rd December 1984. Nothing was out of ordinary, and the night seems like any other silent, shivering winter night of the region. But that was only superficial. Somewhere in the eastern part of the city, something nightmarish was happening inside a pesticide plant of the Union Carbide India Limited, or UCIL. An industrial disaster of incomparable magnitude was about to happen. The Union Carbide India Limited, or UCIL, plant was established in 1969. 51% was owned by Union Carbide Corporation, or UCC, and 49% by Indian authorities. The factory used to produce a pesticide which UCIL had branded as Sevin. A chemical called methyl isocyanate, or MIC, was used to producing this pesticide. Therefore, the factory stored a large amount of MIC inside its premises. On that fateful night, on December 2nd, 1984, it was a routine day at the UCL factory in Bhopal. MIC was stored in an underground tank. The pipeline washing started at 9:30 p.m. as a routine maintenance operation. Between 10:30 to 11 p.m., workers engaged in pipeline washing became aware of a leak. Little attention was, however, paid considering it a normal leak. A casual attempt was made to trace the source of leakage, but of no use. The leak continued. Around 12:15 to 12:30 am, the pressure in the MIC tank rocketed up to 555 pounds per square inches. Water had begun to leak into tank east stem, containing 42 tons of MIC. An operator saw that the concrete above the tank was cracking. About 12:30 am, the relief valve of the tank gave away a large quantity of MIC gas leaked into the atmosphere. There were three safety systems. First was the vent gas scrambler, which was considered the main line of defense. It was not in an optional condition. Then the workers tried turning on the flare tower to burn off toxic gases. This system was not in working condition, as a piece of pipeline leading to the tower had been removed for maintenance. The workers then tried transferring the MI6 from the tank into a nearby spare tank. The gauge of the spare tank indicated that the tank already contained something. The gauge indicator was found defective. Later on, after failure in all the three safety systems, the workers attempted to douse the leakage gas with water spray. The water spray reached a height of 100 feet from the ground, while the leak was at 120 feet above the ground. At 1 am, realizing that nothing could be done to stop the leakage, thousands of people living around the plant were awakened by the suffocating, burning effects of the gas. Literature case studies. The first one is Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum, which is designed by Moshe Safdie. Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum is an illustration of setting a themed environment at a highly unconventional tourist site, whose main goal is to serve as an educational memorial for the Nazi genocide of the Jewish people. The building demonstrates the usefulness of theming in serving the institution's objectives while orchestrating memorable visitor experiences. Notwithstanding the criticism and concerns related to such theming, I suggest that the example of Yad Vashem illustrates how well conducted theming holds great potential for museum in general and dark tourism sites, in particular by reaching broad audiences and emotionally engaged visitors. My second literature case study is Jewish Museum by Daniel Levinskind. The Jewish Museum has a fearless form which represents a naked reality of its location history. The sharp angles, violent lines, and a wounded body of zigzag form mirror the violent art history of Jews. That downward movement to the underground at once tells us this is the building who wants to communicate with audience. In fact, the building acts as a storyteller. It narrates the history of Jews, which is all connected with notions like continuity, death, and exile, and letting the visitors actually feel it for themselves. Exploring visitors' experience in interiors, unhomely home which has been haunted by absence, silence, and violence of Jewish memories. Present feeling like terror inside its cold, spiritless, and strange body. The visitors experience terror differently in each spaces within one body of architecture. Light case studies. The first one is Virate Khalsa, designed by Moses Safadeh. The museum successfully engages the visitors on an enlightening journey by engaging all their senses. It pays emphasis on the use of graphics and sound as a medium of communication to reach out to the visitors by defining a path that the visitors have to follow. Unlike conventional museums, the architect has ensured a seamless transition between spaces, which helps create an uninterrupted simulating experience. The Viratikalsa is truly a structure where substance matches spectacle and the form find its functions. The second live case study is National War Memorial, New Delhi, designed by Yogesh Chandrahasa. The iconic India Gate brims with an average footfall of 50,000 people per day. Instead, with the bustling sea hexagon, the lawns were retained to be active public spaces to play, meet, relax, and more. The capital complex has a central axis, the Rajpath, the ceremonial path for the president's home, that runs across and ends at the India Gate. The newly built NWM retains the axis and bestows the essence of hierarchical importance upon the overall footprint. A cross connection at the core of the new memorial, the youth path, is a metaphorical placement of the Raj path, which is path of life, with the youth path, which is path of war. Reading the site. The site is located at the northern periphery of Bhopal. The site area is 62 acres. It is the ground zero site of Bhopal gas tragedy, the UCIL factory complex from where the gas leak happened. The site is highly contaminated and is marked by dilapidated factory structures. The strengths. The site has a strong historical content. The site is a well-connected, large site and is surrounded by slums and the newly built flyover providing a perfect picture of the constraining present after the tragedy. Weaknesses. The shape of the site is very odd. A very limited vehicular circulation is around the site. Large parts of the site are still contaminated. There was a railway track behind the site which caused pollution. Opportunities to create something from the survivor community, to revitalize the presence of the site, to change the negative image of the past to a constructive image of the future, to remediate contamination. Threats. The acceptance of the affected society and the government to a single proposal. The chance of contamination resurfacing. Less chances of people visiting the site due to the threat in the minds of people. Concept and design. This thesis shall be an attempt to commemorate the past, cure the present, and caution the future through an architectural intervention memorial. What makes a place memorable? Does activity, ritual, texture, materiality, design, or scale makes a place memorable? Is memory the difference between dwelling and a building? Do we deflect our own memories into a place in our subconscious, constantly searching for relationships between what we have seen in the past and what we are seeing now in the present and what we wish to see in the future? What if one could design space not bounded by the limitations of the architectural discourse but only based on how they were remembered? Architecture gets a greater meaning due to memory. Memory allows for a greater connection between people and places. It's a question of place over space. It's about substance over spectacle. Through memory, this can be achieved. A virtual experience can vanish or replace as another interesting intervention arrives, while a real experience will always be in our minds. While constructing the entire design strategy, the existing factory ruins and its locale have a major role. The site have an existing ruin of the flame tower and a UCL plant which has a major census value than its historic value. The main memorial building is aligned at an axis of the existing factory ruin. Each gallery contemplates on the intervening emotions of the memorial trail. The entire trail starts with the Gallery of Tragedy, where I exhibited the E610 tank. After the Gallery of Tragedy, then comes the Gallery of Optimism, which is a spiral stair structure where we go up to the tip of the existing flame tower, which was the last hope was seen, and gradually, when we move back, it fades out. From the Gallery of Optimism, then we go to the Gallery of Alert, where there is this rusted pipeline structures from the factory building were placed as an exhibit. When people touches the pipeline structures, an alarm sound is triggered, which gives another dimension for the trail. From there, the trail leads to the Gallery of Suffocation, which is filled with cherubim lights, and it converges to the Gallery of Confusion, which is a form that inspired from a labyrinth, which is a maze-like structure. Spaces which interconnects the galleries are exhibition spaces, which tells us the story of the people around and the story of the tragedy. The exhibits are mainly the ruins that are collected from the site itself, and the things that are collected from the affected people's houses. The exhibit itself acts as a memory. After the Gallery of Confusion, the trail leads to the Gallery of Struggle, which is a narrow pathway which opens up to an open to sky space. Colored human figures are placed on the base, and when it reaches the open to sky space, it turns colorless white figures. And small pocket spaces are given as a storytelling space, which tells us the story of other man made disasters all around the globe through visual and audio aids. After the Gallery of Struggle, the trail leads us to the Children's Memorial, which is divided into three as an exhibition space, an installation space, and a memory hall. This space is for the children, those who were died at the time of tragedy. The exhibits there are the things collected from the houses, also a memory. From the children's memorial, we get out to an open space from where we can see the existing factory building. The space is named as the Gallery of Breath. From there, we can move to the Flame Tower, and at the end, we reaches the Hope Circle, where the names of the people died on the incidents are carved on. The next building is the Community Center. The community center is incorporated with multipurpose halls, games rooms, auditoriums, cafeterias, and skill development centers. This building is for the community around who were affected by this tragedy. Skill development centers are incorporated with this that the people can make an income out of this. Exhibition spaces and stores are provided to exhibit the things that they were made. Special topic: How to treat hazardous waste. Two methods that are used here are insure capping and phytoremediation. Insure capping is an internationally accepted technology for remediating contaminated sediments. It involves placing cap materials over top the sediment surface to create a new bottom and to meet certain performances. Phytoremediation involves the use of plants and their associated microorganisms to improve the functionality and recover contaminated soil.